everyone, and welcome to another episode of Words, Words, Words. I'm Daniel.
I'm Heidi.
And I'm Colin.
And before we jump into our discussion of the latest book that we're reading, we, as a podcast, have a little bit of celebration to dole out because, well, one of us has some big news. Would you like to announce it, Colin?
Yeah, little personal life. I recently graduated law school this year, and as most everybody knows, unfortunately, that's not when the studying stops, and you have to take the biggest hell ever created. That is the California bar exam, and it is the worst thing in the world. It has a sub 50 pass rate, generally considered hardest licensing exam in the country. It sucks. 12 weeks straight, I didn't talk to my friends, locked myself in a room and studied nonstop. And the result, they make you wait 100 days after the test for the results, exactly 100 days. Which is worse than the test. And, very fortunately, thanks to a great support system and lots of hard work and dedication, we got the pass on the first try. So I have completed every step to become a lawyer, which I think now officially means all my opinions on books are correct.
Yeah.
And if you disagree, he will sue you.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
there will be a cause of action.
It also means, more importantly, that my life of crime has begun. So...
I will say,
alleged crime.
Having been friends through your whole law school journey, when I DM'd you this, but I had no doubt that you would ace that test. The amount of work that you have put in over the last 3 years, is that correct? Yeah, over the last 3 years has been inspiring, and I am super proud of you, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's actually insane. I actually can't stress enough how little doubt I had that you would pass, to the point where, I was anxious to find out because I knew how terrible you had been feeling these past 100 days about it.
It's brutal. It's like hazing.
Yep.
The wait is so long that it's designed, you forget what you put down. And the State Bar of California, if you're reading this, you guys are mean. They actually are hearing this. They released the questions, to the public, 2 weeks before the results came out. So everybody online and on Reddit were, analyzing, the perfect response to give to these questions. And by that point, it's been 90 days. So I have no clue if I put what they're talking about. The brain's a weird thing. You're going to convince yourself you didn't. And, and then a lot of legal jobs are contingent upon that bar pass. So you hold a good position now. And then once you get your bar passage and you get sworn in, you get promoted essentially. And my job was contingent on first time passing. So if I did not pass the first time, I would be out of a job, which I now have over $150,000 in student debt. So that's kind of a big deal. And, I have big life plans involving, significant others that I want to be more than just that, and apartments and stuff. So I, kind of need a job.
Super proud of you.
Thank you, guys.
Officially a lawyer now.
There we go.
Congrats.
So this podcast will be suing everybody. Just kidding.
Yep. If you leave a mean comment, we're suing you.
And
Straight to jail.
Of Colin, today is one of his Rex years. So, take it away, Colin.
Yes, today we are talking A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik, I think is how you say her last name. First in the Scholomance trilogy. This book is one that I was very excited to get into after actually being recommended off pod earlier by Dan himself. So I'm really excited to get into this one. And before we get into it, just kind of the dark academia setting and probably my personal favorite fantasy subgenre is dark academia. I don't know when people will be hearing this, but it's November 11th on this day, which means another great dark academia series had its sequel come out, which is The Strength of the Few. Yes. One of our favorites on here for 2 out of 3, soon to be 3 out of 3, I'm sure.
I'm cracking the cover of the first book today, the Will of the Many.
We don't like the author, but I do think, at least I can personally admit that I do like Harry Potter other than the author. I think the world is fun. So as a fun genre and setting, Catabase is another good one. I wanted to ask you guys, what is your favorite magical school or magical setting? And you can say this one because I do think this one's pretty great.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take the cop out and say this one. Because it's not fresh, I feel like I can fully say that. I first read this, I think, 2 years ago, and instantly just fell in love with the setting. The the way that Hogwarts works was always fun, but it was like it doesn't make sense necessarily to me. My autistic brain is a sucker for rules, and there are rules that govern things at this school that are just like, okay, cool, instant click for me. But yeah, I don't think I would ever want to live in the Scholomance.
Yeah, heck no.
But to read about, oh yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Heidi, do you have a favorite?
I forgot all of them.
I
mean,
can go
honestly,
if you want to think.
Yeah, you go.
Because I should be careful because I might be stealing one of yours too. And mine is actually, this is kind of a cop-out too. Mine is Oxford, but the Babel version.
For Christ's sake.
The actual Institute of Babel. And if anybody hasn't read Babel, Babel is essentially, obviously, it's referencing the biblical Babel, and it's just a section within Oxford that is translation school essentially, but translation there is magic, and I think that is the most unique magic system, and it's where you get all these just the elite of the elite scholars from all around the world that come together and they do these translations, and obviously the big theme of the book is kind of learning that what they're doing is becoming a cog to a evil empire, so they try to stop that. But the setting itself, Arth Kwong is an Oxford scholar herself, so she writes it with a lot of just love for the university, with genuine criticisms, and you can tell just the first few chapters where the main character gets there and he meets one of my favorite side characters, Raimi, and they're just so romantic about the school and about the setting and about the translation. It gives you butterflies and chills. It makes you feel warm. And she's the GOAT. She's just one of the best writers. You just feel like you're there. And I know it's a real university, so it's kind of a cop-out, but it's this magical element to the real university that makes it so cool. And they have these cool functions that the magic gives. And it's just, I will never stop talking about that book. And Oxford's the reason why.
Okay, that one is up there for me too. That book is just so fucking good.
It's so good.
Yeah. I mean, this one is gonna be up there for me. I think once I get through the trilogy of this one, just based off of how much I enjoyed the first one of A Deadly Education, I think the Scholomance might take it over. But I don't know. I think I even like the one in Discworld, Unseen University. That like it's
best
just
name ever.
So, yeah, right. And it's just so weird because just in the way that Discworld is weird, silly, and the magic system of Discworld is just like kind of nothing makes sense, which makes everything make sense in a way, which I think is kind of fun.
Plus, you get a chair of indefinite studies there, which is the best title ever.
I think it might be that one.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. That's a good poll.
That's the deepest cut I can think of right now, and it's so fun. And I've been going through Discworld recently too. But yeah, once we get more into talking about this book and more, like, I cannot wait to read the next two. Like, so Scholomance might overtake that.
I just want to give some wrap. Yeah, go ahead.
I will throw out one more just because I did say Scholomance, but have either of you either read the book series or seen the TV show The Magicians, where Break Bills, I believe is the name of the school, is in there? Because that one's kind of like Oxford. Like I have not read Babel. I need to, but that sounds kind of like your idea of like an Oxford but fake. Whereas Break Bills, I believe, is wholly fictional, but is more in that realistic kind of college kind of setup. I will also say, not to psychoanalyze myself too much, but I haven't read a ton of dark academia. I've liked what I've read, but I wonder if it has to do with the fact that, like, having been a professor, real life academia is not magical in the slightest.
I think you will really appreciate Catabasis for that, because she writes.
Babel and Catabasis are like on my list, yeah.
Because Arv Kwong is like the scholar of all scholars. Her resume, her academic profile is insane. She's a Cambridge scholar. She's an Oxford scholar. Some amazing American ones as well. And her whole, basically the whole point of that book is showing just how just ridiculous academia can be. And I mean, they're literally going to hell to secure a letter of recommendation. That's another good one. Some more rapid fire.
You sold me.
Some more rapid fire shout outs. The I forget the actual name, but the Academy in The Will of the Many and the Hierarchy is really fucking awesome too. The fact that it's literally a hierarchy, right? These students have to work their way to the top spot is really interesting. The Institute in Red Rising is interesting for all the wrong reasons. Kind of sci-fi and less magical and more just murderous. But That one's really good. There's so many. There's so many good ones.
In the world of film and TV, while it is extremely fucked up, Godolkin is a lot of fun too. Which is, have either of you seen The Boys?
I have not. It's been on my list for so long. I know I need to
There's a
watch that.
spin-off of The Boys, and I don't remember what it's called, but they're at college, and it's a college for these messed up superheroes, and shit's going down there.
Well, choosing that dark academia and fantasy and magical school setting, I just want to get into A Deadly Education. I'm so excited to talk about this one with you guys, and I want to know each of you guys' just kind of initial surface level reactions, because I think your more in-depth feelings about the book are better as we talk more spoilers about the good book, but your surface level reactions I am interested about.
I think all I'll say, and I'll let Heidi speak more, I think all I'll say is what a treat to be able to come back to this world having read the full series. I think the second time I read this book was more enjoyable even than the first time that I did.
Yeah, I have nothing but good things to say about this dang book. I just loved it. I love the main characters. The school is like absolutely insanely cool. Just like maybe one of the coolest concepts for like a setting, which we'll talk more about later on too, but
I'm sure that the full first name of the character did not hurt the likability in your book.
Yeah. Little Lord of the Rings action, right?
Yeah, I mean that, and when she like actually talks about it, like her name is the Lord. It is a reference to Lord of the Rings.
The Lord of the Rings exists in this book. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, which is like such a silly little like Easter egg kind of thing. I was not expecting
like
it.
she says, she could be like the Dark Galadriel. Like when Galadriel goes, I will do all this. She's like, yeah, I could.
Yeah, it's so
this book is
that
genius.
made me laugh. Yeah, it's that reference made me laugh. She references Lord of the Rings, and the fact that no one really gets it too, or
yeah, that's the best part. Nobody has seen it, and
yeah, which she appreciates too. She's like, oh my god, I've never seen the movies either. Thank you. It's so refreshing.
That's such a good bit in this like fantasy magical world where we have wizards going to a school that eats you, and it's like, yeah, we're all talking about the Lord of the Rings.
Sorry to interrupt you, Heidi. I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, it was so great. It was so great, and I mean that is another thing. Like the book, it's got everything you want, right? Like it's. I was laughing. It was emotional. It was like, a cool magic system, an insane setting. Yeah, I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, I also, I'm very high on this book. It's got everything. It's so funny. I think I didn't expect it to be as funny as it was going in, but it's not gratuitously funny. Like there are some really just real raw moments, but also just the humor is so good and well written. It's very clever. It's a clever book and it's got layers. And one thing I almost made the icebreaker this time is it has a hell of a first sentence. I decided that Orion needed to die after the second time he saved my life. And I almost made the icebreaker today. What is your guys' favorite, like, good little one-liners? Like, there's the Zeph Son Villano wore white on the day he was to kill a king. Like, that's a great one.
What's Mistborn? Ash fell from the sky, I believe.
But yeah,
that's
hero,
a great first
the Hero of Ages one's really good, too. I am, unfortunately, the Hero of Ages. And
yeah. The man in black fled across the desert, and the gunslinger followed. That's a dark
That
tower.
goes hard. That goes hard. That makes me excited.
Banger.
I would have lived in peace, but my enemies brought me war is a great one.
I mean, to go full classic, it was the best of times, it was the worst.
It was the worst of times, right? That's the OG, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, this book has everything. I knew as soon as I read the first sentence that I was going to be hooked. And yeah, so kind of going off that, speaking of Orion Lake Must Die, I wanted to ask you guys.
Wait. I got one more because this is probably my favorite of all time, and it just popped in my head. Marley was dead to begin with. Christmas Carol.
We're going to leave the Christmas Carol discussion out because I'll out myself for some pretty glaring hole in my bag. But one interesting thing about this book, probably the most interesting about this book other than the Scholomance itself, is this Elle and Orion dynamic, because it's very, I'm going to keep alluding to this because it's fresh in my mind. I just read this book with Catabasis where you have, really talented female main character and boy foil kinda who just, it seems like, comes way too easy to him. And it really creates this really interesting dynamic between the two characters. And if done well, it doesn't come across cheesy, and you can add that kind of like romance tension in there too, which I think Novik does extremely well. And I just wanted to know with you guys if that dynamic worked. I actually read on Goodreads, I think it's a lot of haters, saying that dynamic did not work for them at all, that they found it weird, that they found it forced. I felt like it was natural. You got, if anybody's been in like advanced like academia or anything, and you kind of have like that competition, that like kind of like that person who's just seemingly always just the right place, the right time, doing the right things. It's so frustrating. It's so annoying, but you just can't help but like, I don't know, there's just that tension, and it feels, I think she writes that really well. I think she writes the romantic element really well, and the tension that kind of builds up. And I just want to know what you guys think about that dynamic.
Well, I love them. I love both of them, both the characters individually, but I think for me, like, it worked so well because, like, and what I think a lot of people who criticize it don't really take into account is they're high schoolers. They're 16, right?
And she makes that a point, right? She makes it a point to say, like, we are in the most significant developmental period of our bodies and of our lives, of our emotions, and we're forced together, boy and girl. And we're forced together, you know, just it's really interesting, right? I like how she explains that.
Totally. And like that's why I think it works so well, is because like it's not perfect. Like it's really cringe at times, and like, but like in a way that is like realistic. Like 16 and 17-year-olds, you don't know what the hell you're doing. You don't know, like,
you're awkward, you're goofy, this is new.
Yeah. Like, and especially like Elle, she already like is sort of socially inept just because of
and outcasted, right? Yeah, because
like due to a little bit her personality, but also because of, you know, what her like magic is. Like she chooses to sort of outcast herself in a way. So like all of that piled on top, just like of both of them. Plus, I mean, you find out Orion's story, and he is a little bit of an outcast in his own way.
In a completely different way, right?
Yeah, I think Elle says something along the lines of like, we mirror each other. And I think that's just like such a perfect description, and I think that's why for me that like it really worked, their dynamic, and it was just really fun. It was just really fun too.
So I will say that neither character is particularly autistic coded, but as somebody who is on the autism spectrum, extremely relatable. Like my first, if you want to call it relationship that I ever had in high school, there was a girl who kept just like being like, "Hey, can I play in this card game?" And I'm like, "Cool, let's." Yeah, I kind of liked her, but there was no way, you know, she liked me, not whatsoever. And then one day she's like, "Hey, do you want to go get some pizza?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not hungry." And I will never forget that one of my friends goes up to me, and is like, "Dan, hey Dan, she likes you." Like, so the whole thing of when Orion's like, "Yeah, or when Elle says, wait, you've been secretly dating me for..."
Yeah, when
like,
he tries to kiss her, she pushes him like,
"Yeah,
you're dating me?" It's just
so relatable.
It is, and it's that perfect age to write that kind of dynamic too. It's just, I love that moment. He kisses her and he pushes her away, and she's like, "Wait, you're dating me?" Because the whole time she thought that they were just, you know, basically doing it to survive and kind of having this like just front on. And
I think that's another important thing that you just said right there. The romance, they're so focused on survival at this school because literally, if you're not focused on survival, for anybody but Orion, you're dead.
Yeah.
And that's a really interesting interaction they have in the library where Elle just checks everywhere and Orion's just like, "Cool, what's going on?" And she's like, "What are you... you're not gonna check?" But they're so focused on survival that yes, romances have happened. That's how Elle came about, but that's definitely not the first thing on anybody's mind.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know, I think that's when I don't mean to tell anybody that their critiques of any book is wrong, but I do think when they do critique the romance element that they are sort of missing that huge point, right? That like yeah, you maybe feel like the romance is awkward and kind of just shoved in there because that's how it actually is. If, we call it a school, but it's not really a school. Your graduation is surviving, right? You make it out,
Yeah.
and it's essentially a meat grinder to satisfy, some death and some mana quotas for some scary monsters. And
because if they weren't in this school and they were in the real world, they would die.
They would die, right? I mean, they give specific stats on the death rates, and it's like, of course they're focused on just surviving. So when you kind of, I'm gonna annoy y'all so much with the recommendation that you guys are just gonna start reading the book. But with Catabasis, like, he's so Peter Murdoch coded. That's the character in that book. He's just the main character, Alice Law. She's such a hard worker. She's so smart. She works for everything she does, and she just always comes up short to Peter Murdoch, who just kind of is just doing his thing. He's not studying late. He's going to bed early and all that stuff. So we have the Ellen Orion dynamic that I think all three of us love. And then we get something that I really loved about this book. And I can't take full credit for this. I actually saw it on a review as well. And it's that the Scholomance is more than a setting, it's a character. And I loved that description so much. And I kind of just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on, well, I know Dan loves it because he picked it as one of his favorite magical settings, period. But if you want to go more in depth now that we're in the full spoiler discussion of the book, what do you guys think of the Scholomance as kind of more than just a plot device, but as a character itself?
Yeah, I mean, it plays such I am going to have to temper what I say because I'm trying not to spoil either of the books in the future. But it's such a formative experience, I guess, for anyone who makes it out of the Scholomance, that more so than like there's no professors there. There's no teachers. It is the teacher. It is what is giving them the experience. They will ask. I mean, I kind of, one of the best things I love about it is that, like, you ask it for a spell, you ask it to do something, and it's like, what's the best? It's like a djinn. You know how they say, like, if you're talking to, one of the tropes is if you're talking to a djinn, you got to be really specific about how you ask that question. Scholomance is exactly the same way, because if you're not, it'll give you something in a language that you just picked up a book for yesterday, and it's going to be like, tough, you deal with it. Yeah, no, it's then there's just the whole fascinating part of, like, the void and everything. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, we get we'll talk about it later, but we get a pretty crazy void reference involving some other students.
Yeah. I think also, I mean, it's kind of like, it's not only is it a character, it's a little bit like an antagonist in a way because of that. Like, it's
100%.
It's these kids' first op.
100%.
Like, you have to beat the school,
op, right?
Yeah, you have to beat the school, and you have to beat the monsters, and kind of your fellow students, because there's like a weird dynamic, like, socially with everybody, and you don't get anything from anybody without contributing something. Like, everybody's trading stuff. It's not like out of the kindness of your heart type of thing, like, and the school, like, perpetuates that. So, like, I think it's also, like, because of how volatile this world is, I think it's probably pretty intentional. Like, if you can't survive this, you're not going to survive in the world. Period.
And the sad truth of it is, right, is like, well, these monsters, and they're going to be going for the kids and their mana anyway. So, if we can put them in this spot, we'll kind of weed out the weaker wizards and satisfy the monsters from going after some other children outside the Scholomance. And I think that's just an interesting aspect of it. And, like, everything about it is interesting. The fact that, like, I forget what they call basically their orientation day. What's the specific term for it, where they get, like, sucked in and basically teleported?
Is it induction?
Induction day. That is induction day. And, like, that just sounds like a horrifying process. And there's, like, how every now and then there will be, like, a young wizard from a normal family who might not even know he's a wizard, and he gets inducted, so he has, like, no prep. He has nothing, and he's just like, where the fuck am I? And,
and unlike Harry Potter, where there's teachers, if you
exactly.
don't know anything,
you're screwed. You're screwed, and it's brutal. And as Heidi alluded to, you start developing these dynamics where, it gets almost Hunger Games-esque, where you start getting alliances building up, and It's all about the connections. Who's got a connection to an enclave? Who's got, they swap spells. Who's got the better spells? Who knows these more, I don't know what word to use other than just less known languages to get these different translations of spells. And it's just there's so many layers to it in a very short book. It's not a long book. And yet it doesn't feel rushed. I feel like we got to know the Scholomance really well. And there's still so much probably to know about the Scholomance that I'm so excited.
And I think a lot of that, to add on to what you're saying, is because I wanted to bring this up, the voice that I'm not always a fan of first person
it's hit or miss
perspective, but the voice that Elle has, that Naomi Novik has developed for her, you get an opinion on the Scholomance.
Yeah.
Everything is read through this witty, acerbic voice that is just, to your point, Colin, is why I think it doesn't feel rushed, is because you're hearing it from her. You're not just finding out about it in like paragraphs of dense text that is telling you everything that's going on. She tells you about it, but she's also like, well, this fucking sucks in my life, but I gotta deal with it. And because you're enjoying that voice so much, you're absorbing so much about everything.
She picks the perfect spot to start telling the story. I
agree.
think if the story started with Elle on induction day, I think it's a much worse book. I think if it starts with Elle on her senior year before getting ready for graduation, I think it's a much worse book. But the fact that we start in the middle, it creates this really interesting dynamic between, we'll talk about it later with, the seniors actually have some opposition to her class because Orion is too good. He's too good, right? He's making their life harder.
He's upsetting the balance.
The balance. And I think if you had her start so early, though, and then it's like, then it just becomes, it becomes us just explaining the school for chapter and chapter and chapter and chapter through her new perspective. So it's like, here she goes. But the fact that she has some experience, she can briefly and succinctly say like, hey, this is how it goes to the listener. And keep
it's
going.
not new to her.
It's not new to her, and she knows it well.
She's not learning it. She already knows it.
And I love when my characters are competent, and she's competent, and she's so skilled. And despite all her, perceived inabilities, which may or may not be out of her own hands, she is a very competent character, which makes it a lot better in my opinion. I hate when it's like we're with somebody who's just bumbling around.
Yeah, no, I'm a sucker for for competency porn, just like you.
Yeah, it's like, when she's explaining everything, I'm just like, yeah, let's get it done.
But I mean, she touches upon it, but imagine that you were in her position and the first time you meet your grandmother, she's like, you are going to ruin the world, and then your entire family turns on you. You understand what makes her her. And I think if I had to rank characters, I think Elle would probably be in my top 10 fantasy characters. She's so that real. Well written. She's so real. By the end of the third book, you're just like, she's a great character. Absolutely.
And I love and one thing I love about this book is, even though obviously we can't because Elle's stuck in this school, I love Elle's relationship with her mom. It's such she loves her mom so much, and she almost resents her for that fact, and almost resents her mom for the fact that her mom loves her so much. She's just like, she has like, I think one of the most realistic relationships I've seen, like with a mother, where she's like, almost like, right, my mother is almost too perfect at times. And she has a quote, she's like, my mom couldn't even say Hitler was a bad person, right? She would try to find a way to blame it on his surroundings or his situation. It's just,
she doesn't want to admit to other people that she's her mom.
Yeah, and she says it's the aspect, and I'm excited to learn more about it, because at the end of the book, right, we get spoiled to her classmates who her mom is, and we learn throughout her mom's like the goat healer, and that people will want, her in-book explanation is, I don't want people to try to take like advantage of that or try to bother me with that, but really I think it's, she doesn't want to disappoint her. She doesn't want any failures to be connected to her mom. Like, that's how I interpret it. She doesn't want, if she comes up short, she knows she's going to be a weird outcast, and she doesn't want that going back to her mom. I just, as much as she may try to
I think there's
to
also a
write.
level of, sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're
I
good.
think
You're
there's
good.
also a level of expectations there too. If everybody knows that she's my mom, you're going to expect so much more of me.
Yeah. And I think we talked about this off camera when we were talking about famous people and their parents, the famous children and they're trying to live up to their famous parents' expectations. It's almost kind
Yeah.
of that element too. Like, what part of her wants to be great because she's Elle and not great because she's the goat's daughter? And I just love how she writes that mom dynamic in there. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. I can't wait to learn more about her mom too.
I know. I hope we do.
Because I think the way she
No
perceives
comment.
her mom is not who her mom really is, especially based off the cliffhanger. Like, her mom knows some shit and has probably
Yeah, her
been
mom
through
has
some shit.
connections, right?
Yeah, so like that, like so much about the very end, like makes me so excited to continue the series
I
and learn
know.
more about the
We'll
world
talk about
and her
the
mom
ending.
especially, and like Elle, her, she talks about like she loves her mom so much it like makes her sick. Like she gives herself, she's like, I'm only allowed to think about home this amount of time. That's it. She like only allows herself to think
She's
about
so
it because it,
pragmatic.
yeah, it makes her so like she misses home, she misses her mom so much that she only allows herself to think about it for a short period of time.
It's
Like
so
it's
interesting, right?
yeah.
When you're in that setting where it's, I have to be thinking about survival unless I'm Orion 100% of the time or I'm going to die. You loving your mom, she starts to see like the amount I love my mom makes me not love my mom because it's
Yeah.
it's holding me back to a degree if I'm in a bit. I think that's so interesting. She has a quote in there, and I should have written it down, but she says something along the lines of um, like, I like I'll be forced to go home, and I don't want that, but that's such a lie because there's no place I'd rather be than home right now. And it's like
Yeah.
it perfectly sums up Elle so much. Like
Yeah.
she wants to not want to be home. She wants to have more than her hippie on her little hippie mini enclave life or hippie society life with her mom, who is the goody two shoes and the do nothing, but she wants nothing more than that. Like she just, and I'm sure we'll learn more about Elle's desires too as we continue to go on. But I
And
love
then
that part.
even, towards the end of the book, she begins to understand more. She's raged for years, she says, against her mother's decision not to be in an enclave. But by the end, she comes to understand.
Yeah,
And it's just so well done that you are just, it's, again, I'm just going to use the word relatable.
it is,
Mhm.
right?
I think we all have, love and hate. So in the acting world, there's a term, I guess, that we have called the kiss kill zone. Somebody gets up really close and they're either going to kiss somebody or they're going to kill that person. And you don't always know what that's going to be. That's because love and hate are so close to each other. They're both passion. And that's why those people that we love in our life can also drive us the most
So
insane.
bananas.
Yeah.
It's so well done. That's a great point. It's so well done in this book. Like Heidi, I cannot wait to learn more about her mom.
Yeah.
I hope we get to meet the mom at some point.
Yeah.
Again, no comment. Because right now she's by far my favorite off-screen character.
Yeah.
But
And
although
I can't wait for you to find out why she warns Elle.
I'm very intrigued too because we know, well, let me be careful. Basically, in book, we get told that her father and her mother basically procreated in the Scholomance, and the father basically sacrificed himself to save the mother who was pregnant with Elle in the Scholomance, and I think there's probably more to that story, and I'm excited to learn more about that. One interesting thing, Dan, you hinted at this earlier. This kind of dark cloud surrounding Elle is this idea that her own grandmother has a prophecy about her. And it's that in this world, these young wizards and older wizards have affinities. You can have affinities towards healing, and it's essentially just something you're good at. It's magic. That type of magic will come easier to you. Well, Elle has an affinity towards destructive magic and dark magic, and a very strong one.
In
And
large scales, yeah.
very atomic scales. And
Yeah.
her own grandmother sees her and prophesizes that Elle will basically bring destruction to the enclaves everywhere and to basically the world and to anybody and everything she touches. Everybody's like, yeah, she will. And they can sense that from her, I assume from her affinity. I think it'll be explained more later. Why people can kind of get that vibe from her and feel that. But it leads to this thing where we're in a setting where you basically have to survive. And one of the easiest ways to survive is to kill, right? To kill your opposition. Well, destructive dark magic is probably very helpful at killing and getting through these stuff, as we see with one of my favorite battle scenes I think I've ever read in a book when she confronts the maw-mouth. Epic fight and horrifying creature design. And
never hug a maw-mouth.
Never hug a maw-mouth. And I wanted to talk to you guys about that. Kind of, what do you guys have any thoughts on like the reluctance to use the dark magic, even if it might be super helpful, and kind of how society views it, right? Because in Elle's perspective right now, sometimes it's not worth using because it'll just do so much more harm than good, and it's hard to control, and it's just going to be on a global scale. But she's how old? 16 in this book, 15, 17, something like that. And I'm sure there's older wizards who can help her maintain this and learn how to channel this through proper means. What do you guys think about that? Like just this idea of having basically this amazing, potentially very useful life-saving skill and not being able to use it or choosing not to use it.
I mean, it just adds into like how interesting Elle is as a character. She has to be smart about it. She uses some of the spells, but like she'll like cut them down and only use part of them. Like that leather working one. That's like, I can't remember the full scale thing that it did, but she ends up like trading the knowledge of it. I think I think where she's at right now, like highlights how interesting she is. Because also like Elle is not nice. She is rude. She is mean, but she is still good.
Much.
I know, yeah. But she's so. But but you say that she's still like. She's still a good girl. Like she's.
Yeah, she's good. She's just not nice, and I think that's so cool because.
I mean, if you spent your whole life people telling you you're gonna kill and destroy everything, it would be rude right back to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that I think is in real life too is a good distinction. Nice does not always equal good.
100%.
One of the biggest things, stereotypes in America is, Southern hospitality, but that bless your heart does not mean,
your heart. Yeah, it's
bless your heart. It's fuck you, just
basically
in
calling
a nice
you an idiot
way.
in a nice way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point, Heidi. She's so rude and all that, but she's a good girl though. Like I would describe her as a good girl. Like
going back to a point that you and I were talking about, Colin, I think it's her affinity for the destruction, for the dark magic, is what makes the competency porn so satisfying in this book, because she could easily. Everybody else in this school has to use 100% of their power just to survive. She, on the other hand, is like, if I use 100% of my power, everyone's going to die. So she has to find creative ways to problem solve and get things done while also making sure that she is not the reason that
everything goes to
there's
shit.
Mass destruction.
Yeah, it's so interesting. It's just that added layer.
And I love that she's not humble too. She's not humble at all,
and she shouldn't be. She's a badass.
No. Yeah,
I love her little.
One of the most powerful wizards her age alive.
Yeah. And I think there's two things I want to say about it. One, Dan, like I agree so much. Like, and it shows like she has an extra hurdle than all these other students have. Like these other students don't have to worry about global domination on accident by using their full power and destroying the world, right? She has to come up with these really clever limitations on her own power. What an amazing scene is when she reaches towards Orion's reserve and she's like threatening to snap and she just lets it go and flings. And you really see like she could do this a lot easier if she wanted to. Life could be so easy for her. But, she like Heidi said, she's, all these things, rude, abrasive, tough, but she's a good girl. Like she's not going to do this. Like
with what we're saying about her being rude, it's also because of who she is. She's pushing, like whether she realizes it or not, she's pushing people away because being close to her could kill them.
Exactly. Ultimately, right, going back to the mother, and that's probably a big thing why she resents the fact that her mother loves her so much, is she does not want to be the reason her mother like has a demise or dies or something and be her mother's downfall. And it's just everything, like this book, like I want to see Naomi Novik's notes for this book because there's no loose end. it all connects so well, and it's so good. And there's one more thing I
And
wanted.
if you know just to add on to what you're saying, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but if you know what happens in book 2 and 3, you can see the thread she's setting up in book 1.
Yeah.
It's
so good.
I hope that both of you go back and reread book 1 at some point after you've read the trilogy, because I'm picking up on things that I did not pick up on before. And just like you said, Colin, she's got to have copious amounts of notes to do that, to have that whole trilogy set up and be like, you're not going to understand what this is all about, and it's going to seem really minor. Book 3, big payoff.
I can't wait. And I just love, and one last thing I'll say on this before we jump into kind of some of the themes of inequality that I want to talk about in the book. But it gets me. I love this trope is where you have your main character and they have this amazing resource or ability that they just can't use. And for my Wheel of Time fans, think, the accidental Kalendor slaughter. I love when they could, in theory, make life so much easier for them, but they have that conscious. They're a 3-dimensional character. They know they should not do this, that it's going to have more of an effect. And one thing I love about L2 is her inner monologues where she's like, fuck it, I'm going to be a maleficer. Why not be what they think I'm going to be? Why not just fully commit to the bit that everybody sees me at this point? But at the end of the day, even as she's going on those like rants inside her head, she's not going to do it. Because the kind of character.
Yeah, and most of the time as she's thinking this, she's like physically doing something that is the opposite of what she's saying.
Yeah, she's like repairing her door and stuff, right?
Yeah.
But how many times have you read books that are in first person with inner monologues that there's no intrusive thoughts? And that's, again, what I think makes her such a realistic, relatable, lovable, I'll say it, character. Is that 100%. She has these really dark thoughts, but you know that she's never going to do it.
Exactly. And it's like, we all think that, like, we'll be, as a kid, you get yelled at by your parents and you're cleaning your room. You're like, maybe I will just run away and show them a lesson, and stuff like that. Like, you think I'm a bad kid, I'll show you a bad kid. But you're never going to act on it. And it's really her. And it's just like, yeah. And at the end of the day, she's a teenage girl. Like, this is a very confusing time of her life genetically and a very confusing time in her life in the world physically. It's just like I want to shake the author's hand and just tell her, like, I don't know how you created this, because the character must be you or something, because I don't know how you created such a 3-dimensional character. But there's one interesting thing that, again, we have kind of hinted at the throughout this book, and it's this kind of like class dynamic that's layered throughout. And it's this idea that even in the wizarding worlds of these places, there's still going to be a higher class of wizards, and there's still going to be a higher class of people. And she kind of shows that idea through enclaves. And these enclave kids, there's enclaves all throughout the world, but there's some elite ones, right? There's the New York enclave that's elite. I think she mentions the Paris enclave's pretty good. The London one's really good. And you have these ones throughout the world that it's basically the higher class of society. It's the rich. It's the 1%. And these enclave kids go into the Scholomance a leg above the people, a leg above the rest, because they're going to be first dibs on alliances, right? Because people are going to want to meet with them for the enclave. They're going to have the ability, as they talk, to contract out their like maintenance shifts, which is so funny to me.
Wild.
Which is so something rich kids would do if this school was real. They would just go pay like a helpless kid that has no choice but to say yes to do it. And I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on it. I love when, I think, again, Arv Kwong probably does this the best out of any writer I've seen, where she does class inequality and fantasy. And I think Novik is right up there with her in how she creatively kind of shows the class struggle here. What do you guys think?
Yeah, and one of the things that I love about it is that it's arbitrary. What I guess I love about the world building, not about the system itself, but she talks about this when Elle finds the book that gives her the matter change spell, I believe it is. And the idea is that there's this set, it takes some mana, but there is this set of spells that create an enclave. And the only reason that everybody can't do it is because it's something that is being purposely withheld. It is the wealthy elite know it, and they've already used it. And if you're not in that group and you can't get all the mana, well then tough. You're not part of our group.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the setup was so good in this first book that I know, like, it's just like tip of the iceberg. Like, it's just scratching the surface in
Yeah,
this
we're getting
first one.
started.
Yeah, and I am stoked for it. And I think, like, I mean, it's from the perspective of Elle, so I'm gonna keep going back to her and like her feelings on it. Like the fact that she flips so, like, she does a complete 180 on how she feels about the Enclaves and everything. And again, like, I don't know how people can think that her and Orion's relationship didn't work because it was so important to her. It's how she sort of figures out that these Enclaves are, like, not good, and she realizes, wait, I actually don't want to be a part of that, because look at this person who I care about. She does eventually admit that to herself. Like, they're using him, and like there's like a moment where she's like, I want to take him and I want to hide him away and let no one look at him or do anything to him ever again. And I'm like, oh, she
And I
loves
think
him.
what makes that so much better, Heidi, is that she isn't even seeing him as a romantic object in
Yeah.
those set of thoughts. That's before she realizes that he's been secretly dating her.
Yeah.
He's just a person that she cares about when she's saying
Yeah.
these things. There isn't this romantic, well, he's my boyfriend, I gotta protect him. It's no, I just genuinely care about him and I see how others are using him.
Yeah. Yeah. It's their relationship is like, it makes this book. Like, if you think it's forced or whatever, you don't like it, that's your opinion, sure.
Then the book might not be for you, because
Yeah, perhaps try a different one.
I don't love romantasy, but Elle and Orion, their story is this trilogy.
Yeah.
And there's so many more things that are in it. It is not romantasy, but for someone who doesn't always like romance being an essential, facet of the book, Elle and Orion are such a great story.
I agree. Well, on this book, and actually one more before I get to the last question I have for you guys. I just want to make a comment too. I love, Heidi, you brought up a point where it's like we see in real time her feelings kind of change about Enclaves, where she kind of goes from like, oh, this is a necessity that I hope to be able to be a part of one day, like I sure hope, even though I know it's not obtainable, to wait, this actually kind of sucks, and these people are maybe not the best life. It's so relatable too, especially I'm gonna use like a legal reference. Every law student comes in and there's this idea of joining like big law. Big law is like the elite of the elite, like are your top 10 law firms in the country. Their starting salary is $235K for a first year associate. If you make your set for life. But when you're in law school and you start meeting friends who are in big law, and you start seeing like, that place sucks. They're working 90 hours a week. They get no credit for their work, killing themselves literally. Like there's high suicide rate in those fields. There's high alcohol abuse, drug abuse. And I think we all see that in life too. With other societies, academia is actually a great example where, people want to go to these top Ivy League schools and they realize it's actually sometimes it's not that great in those elite schools. And I think that's something she did really well with Enclave and with the Enclaves, but also being real about it, being real about the sense like, if I do get offered that ability and that chance, like, I don't know that I can say no. Like I don't know that I can turn down a life-altering option like that for safety and resources and ability. I think it's done super well.
Yeah.
One last question I have for you guys on the book itself before we wrap up. What do you guys think? Dan, this might be a harder question for you to answer, just because you know more. And it's I just want to know your guys' thoughts on that ending, just because I think that has one of the best cliffhangers I've read in a really long time, where essentially they survived another year. At the end of the year and on induction day, you basically send all the new kids getting inducted with letters to give to your student who's in the enclave. And Elle's kind of sitting there like, I never get a letter. My mom never sends me one. It's too risky. And then she gets one from her mom. And it has two folds. One, it outs her relationship with her mother to the whole school, which I'm sure will be one of the very first things discussed in book 2. And it also has a warning from her mother to her saying, stay away from Orion. To me, that I wish my TBR wasn't so long that I had books I actually do have to get through, because I wanted to pick up book 2 right away. I wanted to start book 2 right away, but I am excited to wait a little bit to build that
And the
anticipation.
first time I read through it, I did. I'm going to just say a really short thing, and then I want to just sit back and hear what the two of you have to say. What do you want to speculate about? But I think it's a natural thing that you remember some things about a book, but you forget a lot about it, right? You know, it's been a couple years, and you'd be hard pressed to remember a lot of details. That is the one thing about this book that I'm like, I know exactly how this ends, and it's such a great ending. And I'm just really excited for you two to find out why Elle's mom doesn't want her to date Orion or to be associated with him, and the time is yours.
I talked about it a little bit earlier, but it I agree with you, Colin, that it's maybe the one of, if not the best cliffhanger that I've ever read, because I feel like, well, the Will of the Many exists.
The Will of the Many has a damn good one. Golden Sun has a really good cliffhanger once you guys get into that.
I don't even really have theories about why her mother would choose to relay that message to her. I mean, I have theories about other things. I think her mom, I mean, like I said, I talked about it earlier on, that her mom knows some shit, has been involved with some shit, is not this perfect individual that Elle really thinks she is. And I am very much looking forward to learning more about her. I mean, Ryan's situation with him, feeding mana back to the Enclave and having to ask permission to use it from there probably got something to do with it. I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying not to have theories because I like to be surprised.
I'm so excited. It has a great cliffhanger. We're giving rapid fire good cliffhangers before they are hanged. Another really good cliffhanger.
Yeah.
That going into Last Argument of Kings. But it's really exciting because this whole buildup of this relationship between these two, and you're like, at least for me, I was really rooting for that relationship to build and to grow. I ship them very hard. I wanted them to be together.
After the first line, I was like, when do they kiss?
When do they kiss? And then, like, when they do kiss, and she pushes him away, wait, you're dating me? I'm like, yeah. Like, I set down the book and started clapping. And then you get that and you're like, okay. And then my mind goes to two things. I'm like, okay, the obvious thing that I don't think Novik is doing is, you could say that Orion is some evil figure, right? And she knows she has some advanced knowledge and he's a secret maleficer or something. I don't think that's it. I agree with Heidi. I think there's a lot more to Elle's mother's story than we know. I'm hung up around her late husband's death and the birth of Elle herself. I think there's probably a reason Elle has this affinity, and I think it might be due to the circumstances surrounding her birth and maybe the loss of her father, if that was even her father. So We'll see. I'm very intrigued by a lot of those things going in. And I think Orion might be a foil to the mom, and that's why she's saying. I think it's selfish. But I'm excited. I have no clue. A lot of times when I get that 4D chess and big brain, it's something so simple that I didn't see it coming. Like, spoiler alert, like Scythe being the hero of the ages, which was very obvious in retrospect. But
yeah,
something I did not see coming at all. I think I was the only one who didn't see coming. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm very excited.
Can't say anything.
Keep those lips sealed. Any last minute thoughts by you guys before we assign a rating to this through our respective systems and hit a rec?
I don't like to give out star reviews. Personally, I just find that those are very limiting. That being said, I forget what I gave this, but I've been very tempted on Storygraph. I think I posted it. I gave it a 4.5. I'm very tempted to go back to Goodreads and at least bump it up to a 4.75. Not so Goodreads, Storygraph, which I appreciate the percentage of a star that allows me to do.
Hence Goodreads
4.75, or even. I'm very picky with perfect scores, but for me, I might have this be a 5. I enjoyed it better the second read because sometimes you can tell that a writer is just writing by the seat of their pants, and she is not. And going back and being able to realize that in the moment, so satisfying.
Yeah. My big thing when I'm assigning ratings to a book is if I can't give it a perfect rating, then I must have something that I think the book could do better. And personally, like movies more specifically. That's how I view it. And with this, I have no critiques. So I would give it a 5-star. If I had to assign like a numeric scale, probably like a 9 out of 10. Again, I think that's limiting as well. But there's nothing I would change about the book. I have very little critiques on it. I'm excited to keep going.
Yeah, I mean, same. It's not. I know it's not particularly interesting for us to just be shaking each other's hands and going, "Yep, I agree with you." But it's a good book, and you should read it. It's like,
that's why it got brought up, right?
Yeah.
Look, we've had some books that we've disagreed on, but we also, I mean, we're all three of us friends, and we've found that I think our tastes do line up more often than not.
Which is why we're talking
here.
to each other.
Right.
Well, if that's the end of the questions, that's because we've been doing this for other books. What if you've liked this book? What else might you rec to people?
I would recommend The Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. Again,
that's also something that I've looked at.
Very similar. I need to reread that book. It's very good. I don't even own it. I read my cousin's copy. It's very good. It's, again, a dark academia setting. It kind of has that Babel and Catabasis feel where it's a real university. It's Yale. So Americans, we can feel included in this one. But yeah, basically it's put in that she has this ability to see ghosts, and she is going to investigate secret societies within Yale. And I don't know if this is like a uniquely American thing or if it's like an academia thing in general, but Yale is a very intriguing Ivy League school in the sense that there's lots of rumors of hidden dark societies there that are probably true. And do a lot of not great stuff. And the book really has fun kind of exploiting those tropes. And I think if you like this book, I would have honestly, the perfect recommendation is Catabasis, but I already said that. So I can't do the same one twice. So my backup would be Ninth House, which is probably one I'll have us read here because it's good.
I was going to say, I'm intrigued.
I've heard good things.
Mine is also one I might end up recommending on here. It's Scythe by Neil Shusterman.
On my list. Also heard amazing things.
It's fantastic. It's, I think, a trilogy also. I think there's 3 books, and then there's another book with like little stories within the world.
Amazing artwork too.
Also,
yeah,
I was just gonna say one of my favorite covers I've ever seen.
Yeah, and that's what caught my eye. Like, I kept seeing it at Barnes, and so I just picked it up one day, and really good, really good. Basically, death doesn't exist, and illness doesn't really exist, and the way they sort of keep control of the population, the only way to truly die is you get gleaned by scythes, and the story follows 2 teenagers who apprentice to become scythes. It's fantastic. The series is great, and the reason I'm recommending it is, because of the genre, but also the teenagers it follows. They have a really interesting dynamic. And Orion reminded me of the 2 of them a lot. They're very similar in a lot of ways, mostly good. So we might end up. We need to get that one on here.
We need to get that one on the pod soon. I think that's one that is past due for all of us.
Yeah, it's quite good.
I'm going to go in a little bit of a different direction and say that if you enjoyed the monologue-heavy first-person voice that Elle has in this book, I think, Colin, you said that you've read the Murderbot series.
Well, that's a good one.
By Martha Wells would be...
That's an interesting rec for this.
Be a really fun read for you. In the early portion of this series, they're all novellas, so they're all really short reads. But the best pitch I can give you is that Murderbot is a android robot that was designed for war, and through some modifications has decided that all he really wants to do is sit around and watch soap operas. But again, the acerbic wittiness of the character is a lot of
good
fun.
And that one has an amazing dramatized audiobook if you guys are into that. That has a good one.
All right. I think we've already talked about this, but if we want to really quickly go through either how we'd rate it or like what tier we put the book on, why don't we go through that really quickly?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and quickly go because I kind of talked about it earlier. I'd put it at the top of all my lists. I'd put it S tier, 5-star, probably like 9 out of 10. I wouldn't give 10 out of 10, so big hypocrite. But all the good marks, positive stuff. Read this book. It should be on everybody's TBR.
Yeah, I completely agree. Everybody that I know in my life that has read Harry Potter and enjoys that genre in any form, I'm like, don't read that one. Read this one. It's better written, and the author is not a TERF. And
that helps.
Right, yeah. And I mean, I will reread the first one again. I'll probably end up rereading this whole series again. Like, I love it. I love it. So I'm
very consumable too.
Yeah. Super quick. And like, but it doesn't.
The longest in the series is like 400 pages.
Yeah. But that doesn't take away from the story. Like, it's just great. It's great.
Fleshed out. Yeah. It's,
yeah. So I've talked about kind of my tier system. I think this is the first one maybe that we've, no, because I think the Fisherman's also in this tier. This is for sure a place of honor on the bookshelf. It also helps that, again, the artwork is just phenomenal.
So
I love the dichromatic, I think that's the right word, with the two-tone minimalism of it. It's gorgeous. The only thing that bothers me about having it as a spot of honor on my bookshelf is that I have the first book in paperback, and then I have the next two in hardcover. And that bothers me.
That's very Colin of you, honestly.
Yeah. But I will go ahead and to leave us off today. The book that we will be reading next time is one that I'm really excited about because it combines two of my favorite genres, which are fantasy and cosmic horror. And that's going to be Gunmetal Gods by Zamil Akhtar. I just finished it today, and I cannot wait to discuss it with you guys.
Yeah, I'm about halfway now. I think as fun as today was, as fun as Fisherman was, as some of our others, that's probably going to be our most fun discussion yet, is this book. It's Gunmetal Gods.
Yeah, I'm almost done with it too.
All right. So for the podcast, I'm Daniel.
I'm Heidi.
And I'm Colin.
Thank you for listening, and keep reading, everybody.